This is macOS Ken.
The EC probes Apple over DMA compliance, new class action suits in the DOJ suit's wake, and word of a magic update box. It is Tuesday, the 26th of March, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. What's it been, 3 weeks maybe since the Digital Markets Act went into effect in the European Union? That's plenty of time to see whether Apple, Google, and Meta are in violation of it, according to EU antitrust chief Margrethe Vestager. According to a piece from Bloomberg Law, the three companies in question face the risk of potentially hefty fines as the European Union opened a full-blown investigation into the firm's compliance with strict new laws reining in the power of big tech. All three are being investigated for their now implemented DMA compliance programs. For Meta, the EC is looking into new subscription fees for Facebook and Instagram. The probes into the other two are tied to their respective app stores. On Google's side, regulators want to know whether the search giant is unfairly promoting its own services. As for Apple, the EC will look into how the company may make it harder for users to choose alternatives to its Safari browser. Vestager says she and hers suspect that the suggested solutions put forward by the three companies do not fully comply with the DMA. Asked whether the commission was moving too quickly on a probe, given how new the compliance moves are, she rejected that charge, according to Bloomberg Law, saying, "I definitely don't think this is rushed. It is very timely." Personally, I'm curious why they didn't raise these concerns when Apple published its DMA compliance plans back in late January, but nobody asked me. As for the potentially hefty fines mentioned by Bloomberg Law, they are potentially hefty. If found in violation of the DMA, the companies could be hit with fines of up to 10% of global revenue, according to the report, or up to 20% in the case of repeated breaches. And another things, cried the allegedly aggrieved. Following DOJ, says a headline from 9 to 5 Mac, Apple faces new class action lawsuits alleging the iPhone is a monopoly. Well, I don't know about monopoly, but it's certainly turning into trouble and perhaps making Apple sorry. These are board game jokes, people. Keep up. Citing a Reuters report, the 9 to 5ers say the Cupertino company has been met with at least 3 proposed class actions since Friday. Those suits are said to mirror the Justice Department's claims that Apple violated U.S. antitrust law. At issue, familiar-sounding claims around the ways Apple handles messaging, digital wallets, the App Store, and more, and how those ways have allegedly suppressed competition in the smartphone market. Representing the poor put upon people apparently duped into buying iPhones, the law offices of Hagens, Berman, Sobel, Shapiro. Taking classes against Apple is kind of a thing for them. 9 to 5 Mac says they're the ones who handled the $560 million class action Apple Books price-fixing suit against the Cupertino company about a decade ago. They're also the ones behind the current class action suit against Apple related to iCloud limits, which was filed earlier this month. No trivial pursuit, these. The piece says the new cases could ultimately represent millions of consumers across the United States. Sounds like quite the operation, but, that's life. News of updates and needs for updates from Apple. If you're running the latest version of macOS Sonoma, you may want to check to be sure. Mac Rumor says Apple on Monday released version 14.4.1 of the operating system. Remember that growing list of bugs that the 14.4 update seemed to cause? Yeah, this update addresses those. According to Apple's release notes, This update provides bug fixes for your Mac, including USB hubs connected to external displays may not be recognized, copy-protected audio unit plugins designed for professional music apps may not open or pass validation, and apps that include Java may quit unexpectedly. There are also security components for this update, and those crazy cats in Cupertino have decided to tell us what they are this time. When the updates for iOS, iPadOS, and visionOS were released last week, Apple said there were security fixes. Asked what they were, though, an Apple security page gave a magic 8-ball answer: ask again later. Apple has now filled in those blanks. Last week's updates and today's Sonoma update all address security issues tied to core media and WebRTC. As it tends to do, Apple on Monday also addressed security issues for relatively recent operating systems. Well, system singular this time. The company released macOS Ventura 13.6.6, addressing the same core media and WebRTC vulnerabilities. Apple also released Safari 17.4.1. That one addresses the WebRTC issue. From updates given to updates required. A piece from Apple Insider says a growing group of people is complaining that tvOS 17.4 has borked third-party remote controls for Apple's set-side device. The site has heard from a reader that the latest update has caused issues with the Apple TV's compatibility with third-party remote controls, including those from Sony, Samsung, Panasonic, and others. They're also seeing such reports on Reddit, on Apple's community forums, and on the thing that used to be called Twitter. Apple Insider says some users have found that they can get their remotes to work with the Apple TV, but must re-pair them every single time. Currently, there is no known workaround. Is there anything more frustrating than opening a new iPhone and having to update its operating system before you even have a chance to play with it? Yes, there are many things more frustrating than that. Still, that is apparently something Apple can do something about, and Bloomberg's Mark Gurman says it's gonna. Cult of Mac highlights part of this past weekend's Power On newsletter. According to that, an in-store system called Presto will let Apple retail update iPhones that need updates before they are purchased or even opened. According to Gurman, the system looks a bit like a metal cubby for shoes. It can use MagSafe and other wireless technologies to power up the iPhone without ever cracking open the packaging. It downloads and installs new software and then powers the phone back down. He says the Presto units should start hitting Apple stores next month. The company reportedly wants the system active in all of its stores in the U.S. by early this summer. And finally today, news of a made-for-TV book being made for TV. Apple TV Plus issued a press release Monday announcing a second season for the Jennifer Garner drama, The Last Thing He Told Me. They should call this one The Very Last Thing He Told Me, or make it a prequel and call it The Next to the Last Thing He Told Me. Anyway, the first season was based on the novel of the same name, The Last Thing He Told Me, written by author Laura Dave. The second season will be based on the sequel to that novel, which the release says is confirmed for publication in 2025. Apple says the novel will see print ahead of the premiere of the second season of the Apple TV Plus series. That means the earliest would-be viewers might be able to view Season 2 is sometime next year, maybe. I hate sounding like an old man, but I miss the way TV used to be. Also, if you would kindly see your way off of my lawn, I would be most grateful. macOS Can, brought to you by me, and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOScan. advertising handle by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.